This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bunny. We are at andBeyond Ngala Safari Lodge. We are currently following the Birmingham young male who looks like he has been left behind by the Pride, and we are going to try and keep up with him for the morning and see if he can take us to the Pride. And welcome to our live safari this morning. So we found this young male. He's been calling for most of the morning. We've been looking for this Pride for the past 2 days. So we happened to come across him. He's limping. So we're going to try and keep up with him, hoping that he's going to take us to where the Pride is. Comments, have you seen where he's gone? There. Okay, so we managed to find him again. It's not moving too fast, it's just in a thick bush. While we see him disappear into the thick bush, we will hand you over to Steve and try and keep up with him.
Good morning and welcome everybody to the Sunrise Safari, coming to you live from Djuma Private Game Reserve, where the sky is ablaze with beautiful oranges and reds. It is 51 degrees Fahrenheit and 11 degrees Celsius. My name is Steve. Welcome everybody. I'm joined by Davisito on camera, and any kids out there, please send questions to kidsquestions at WildEarth.tv. Let's go back over to the sunrise. I'm just going to allow you to just soak in. It's a little bit misty this morning. I'm just going to allow you to soak in on the colors and allow you to listen to the dawn chorus. hear from you shortly. I hope you enjoyed a little silent moment. Let's go say good morning to Taylor.
Good morning and welcome to Pridelands. It is such a wonderful day. It's quite chilly, but pretty epic that we get to start the day with some very cheeky elephants. Hello, Naughty. And again, a big welcome to all the children from across the world who have joined us this morning. I hope that you have lots of questions for us about these animals. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gat. And like I said, we are at Pridelands Eco Training Camp, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve as well as the Greater Kruger. It's so good to have you all. Hello, young elephant. I'm wondering if this is the same herd we spent some time with yesterday afternoon. And this could in fact be the same individual that was quite cheeky and came right up towards us. Look at it, going all the way down on its knees. Yes? Are you parading around, showing how big and strong you are? Oh, here comes Mom now. Hi, Mom. We're not doing anything. You hear the rumbles? Hi, the big girl. I didn't do anything to your little ones. They've been giving me problems this morning. It's okay, big girl, relax. So she's just smelling us. She's not too bothered. So I just have to watch and make sure that I know what's happening at all times. It's very important to watch animals' behavior. But that's obviously Mom, her young calf, and I would imagine that this is her older daughter that's just very protective over this young calf. Yes, carry on. Yeah, you got sand in your eye now. That wasn't very clever. Those long eyelashes that you have are not going to stop that from going in. She's being quite cheeky. But again, this is very typical of a young elephant to do that. She's just sort of testing the waters. Oh, and she's got a stumpy tail. I'm sorry that you lost your tail. That must be very frustrating. Epic. Nice. I'm going to go backwards. We'll have another view of them. It's okay. We're not here to play or hurt you. This is what we call overreacting. It's an unbelievable scene, though. You're going to see now what Gat is about to show you. We've got elephants, we've got mist in the low-lying valleys, and then we have the gorgeous Drakensberg Mountains. Again, it's my favorite time of the year with the different yellows and oranges and greens. It's really, really nice. And this is what makes it worth getting up early in the morning for. It's just moments like this. But they've been feeding all through the night because we know how much elephants have to eat. Like I say, sometimes I'm kind of envious of elephants that they can continuously just eat and eat and eat. Apologies for all the ringtones that you're hearing. That's just how we communicate with the directors and final control. We just lost signal, I think, so just re-answering the calls. But we're back with them now. No, Bella, there's lots of different animals that are very active at this time of the day. You can see that this elephant is for, what is the time now? It's 20 to 7 in the morning here in South Africa. And you can see how she just picked up and pushed that tree over to get the nice, well, I don't think it's green grass anymore, but it's probably tastier than what's been baking out in the sun. So elephants are fairly active throughout the day. Like I was saying, they have to eat for about 19 hours a day. So they're on the go. They very rarely will stay still for more than a few minutes. Otherwise, this is also really good opportunity to see some of the predators, so hyenas and lions and leopards, maybe even a honey badger before it gets back into its burrow and goes to bed. So there are lots of animals. The same thing with the antelope species. Most of them will also be up now at first light. They would have been resting a little bit. Again, they're up and down and also eat throughout the evening too. But now they'll be much happier that they can see what's around them. So this is the time that the diurnal animals, so the daytime animals that can see much better during the day rather than like the predators that thrive at nighttime. They've got specially designed eyes to help them to see in the dark. Well, not see in the dark, but they are able to capture light from all different places and utilize that So yeah, I think elephants are the most active of all the animals, which is why most people are so fond of them, because every time you see them, they're always doing something. And then on the rare occasion, you'll come across a herd of elephants having a nap, a little siesta, but not too often. And they're very busy. And every elephant is always doing something different to the other. Like that one was munching on some sickle bush, or just a moment ago she threw a branch at us. And then we've got Mom, who's desperately feeding on all that lovely grass from underneath the sickle bush that had been pushed over. And then the little elephant, who's not really doing anything, this is just sort of playing around with its trunk. Hello, Awetu, you're just 5 years old. Now, this is a question that we've been asked a few times by the wonderful children of the world, and it's quite funny that that's the thing that you notice. You say, how come an elephant is so big and its tail is so small? Shall we have a look at the elephant that has got a tail, which is the mom, because unfortunately her offspring, her daughters, don't have any tails, which is quite funny, a little bit sad. So you look at her tail. So her tail is actually, I don't think it's that small in comparison to her body. It's quite thick and it's actually quite long, almost touching the ground. You can see there's long black hairs on the edge. So I think that it's an appropriate size for an elephant. I'm not sure. Can you imagine if an elephant had a tail twice the size? It would look like a dinosaur and not a mammal anymore. So I don't think so. I don't think it's too big, but it plays a very important role. And I think maybe why an elephant doesn't need a longer tail is because it's got a trunk and it's also got ears. So it's got many fly swatting mechanisms. So it will use its tail to swat away the flies near its rear end, and then it will also flap its ears and bring them close to their eyes if there are any little insects pestering them around their eyes. And then, of course, they've also got their trunk that they can reach around and sort of swat away things too. Some animals will use their tails for different things, like you'll get leopards and cheetah that will use their tails, or monkeys and things like that. They'll use them for balance. Elephants are not using their tails for balance, not in the slightest way. So I think there's various functions. You could look at a zebra as well, or a horse. Long hairs also. I think with horses, though, the manes and tails have got longer and longer as we've bred them as we've domesticated them and selective bred them for their long manes. Because if you look at zebras and mustangs and things like that and wild horses, they actually have much shorter manes. I suppose there's no real need to have a very, very long mane. Not that elephants have manes. They have no manes at all. The only place that they have hairs is on the tips of their tails. You'll see around their ears and on their chin. And some fibrous hairs covering their bodies too, but nothing that keeps them too warm. Unless you're a little one, then you're very hairy.
So this young man has done so well in the last 15-20 minutes. He managed to reunite with one of the older lionesses from the Pride. She is also quite vocal herself. It looks like she also doesn't know exactly where the rest of the Pride is. As you can hear, look at her way she's looking. Quite on a far off distance. It sounds like it's Impala's alarm calling. So what I think might have happened is that they might have split with the Pride. The Pride has been trying to hunt, so she's lost all of the members. And you can see those Impalas are going crazy on the other side. You might not be able to hear, but she just looked up that way and they picked up and started moving. So they are moving quite fast and the bush is quite thick down here. We are going to try and maneuver around and try and keep up with them. We are not too far from the bank of the Timbawati River. And if those Impalas are on the other side, if they cross the river, it might take us a while to drive around to go link up with them. But we are going to get going shortly because they are starting to move a little bit fast. So they're heading. You know what I think they're going to do, Romans? I think that distress call is sounding somewhere on all the strip. They're going to cross the river fast. Did you hear the alarm call? Yeah, Nikki, come in. What is your position?
We're around now. We're just looking around giraffe, in fact, the tiger, the triangle down.
Copy that. I think if you can come straight towards Old Strip now, that would be fantastic. I'm following up, and I managed to find one other lioness now with the young male. There's a distress call coming from somewhere around Old Strip. They're starting to move fast. I'm just worried that when they cross here, I might take time to relocate. If you can come closer so that maybe you relocate on the other side, then I'll drive around. Copy. So, I missed that. Oh, what did she say? Yeah, you are definitely on safari, Grant. We can see those lionesses heading straight down towards the Timbawati River. We're going to go just wait on the bank to see which way they go after this so that we can try and go around to find them again. They will be quite active this morning until they find the rest of the pride. So maybe, Grant, if we follow them and be able to keep up, we might be able to catch up with them when they reunite with the rest of the pride, which will be quite impressive to see. Rosemale. See, Grant. See, we just found one of the adult males of the pride, the rose males. We just have one of them moving to our right. I think you will have a better view of the ones in the riverbed. They are all here. Let me go forward. Oh. Okay, Grumpy. Did you see that? They're in the riverbed. I just want to avoid this guy here, looking at the look he just gave me. The rest of them are here, Romance. So Caroline, the line with the sore foot is to our left now. And the one that you just saw me, that is the line with the sore foot right there, Caroline. Standing right on the bank and looking at the rest of the pride that are currently lying in the riverbed, which we're going to give you a view of in a second. We're just going to try and get a position for you. You can see them in the riverbed there. We see at least 5 other lines at the moment. I think that the rest of the pride might be here. Okay, we're just going to send you over to Trishala to get to see a beautiful bird on the other side. We'll catch up shortly to see what the pride is about to do.
Of course, as soon as you guys want to come to me, there we go. I thought our ground hornbill here was going to hide from us. And it appears it still might. But it is a beautiful bird out here on quarantine. We're doing our checks. We saw it fly ahead, and I'm so glad that it landed on quarantine. Isn't that awesome? Hi everyone, my name is Trishal, and I've got BK on camera this morning, a chilly morning in Djuma, and we're so glad that we could start off our portion of the drive with a wonderful ground hornbill. Now this one is by itself, and most of the times I've seen them here, there's usually been 3. So I wonder if others are around. Huge birds. They're about almost 4 kgs, 3.5 to 4 kgs. Very large. Almost about a meter tall. Really, really big birds. Now it'll be going after small, no, not even reptiles, not just small ones. Even small mammals like squirrels, even the scrub hare. Or my greatest fear, a chameleon. That would be my greatest fear. But they also, especially and most commonly, take things like frogs and snails, little lizards, skinks, that kind of thing. But you most definitely could potentially see them with a squirrel or even a hare in their mouths. Shall we move a little bit forward and try to get a better look at it? Mac, you say you'd love to hear it call? I hope that it does call for us. If we don't hear it, Mac, me and my particularly great bird calling nose will show it for you instead. No! Please land again, please land again. Ooh, maybe it's gonna call for you, Matt. The call is a very kind of delicate horn-like call. Now, hornbills are called hornbills because they have a casque or sort of addition to their beak where they can make a horn-like sound. And it travels for quite a distance, and you can hear it. It's very low, so it's sort of like the way a roar sounds. Beaky's just going to give our lens a bit of a wipe. So much condensation today. Awesome, so glad it's up in that tree. Jack, you're 7 years old and you have a very important question. Could this bird eat all my chameleons? It certainly could, and that would be a bittersweet moment. Oh, look at it looking up. I love when birds do that because obviously their binocular vision is not particularly good, so they have to lean and get their one eye to look up. I think it's quite comical. They could definitely eat the chameleons, but I say it's bittersweet because these guys are quite vulnerable. And there is a concern that their numbers could decline. So it would be good that it got a meal, but it would also be quite sad that that meal would be a chameleon. He has moved. All right, I still see it though. All right, let's have one final look at this beautiful bird. Really nice that it's come into the sunlight now. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Now we can try one last movement. See if we can get round. So we're getting some really nice visuals now, and it seems to be pretty comfortable. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to grab that again from you, please, M. So while I get into position. To 5. And I normally see 3 of them. But that doesn't mean that. So they will have some friends and family. Sorry guys, we just had a bit of a disruption, but all good. Myra, you wanted to know if it has a family, and it does, and I see them here in about 2 or 3 individuals, usually 3 of them, but they can be found in groups of about 5, and they are what we call cooperative breeders. So that means they stay together, and sometimes the young will help their parents take care of their younger siblings. And that is a good way to ensure that animals survive. And it also means that when the older siblings grow up and need to have children of their own, that they're actually better at being parents because they've already taken care of little ones. Look at it looking up like that. That's just the right kind of tree to find a chameleon with. Yes. Perhaps it won't see any chameleons in this light because they're well camouflaged. Well, this is awesome. This was just a beautiful sighting, guys. I'm so glad to have shared it with you.
Well, awesome, Trish. We had that hornbill. He flew right over us as we were starting the drive this morning. It was wonderful to see. Just on his own. I wonder where his family is. Okay, well, we found tracks of a male leopard on the opposite side of the river, moving away from the dam wall, and it looked like he'd been having some fun with some buffalo, chasing him around. And we heard some noises on the other side, so we just come in to find out the shouting. It sounded like an impala was going. Just going to see what it is. Tracks are an important thing to follow, but alarm calls from certain animals are normally a little bit more reliable in the moment. Yeah, some impalas on the left here looking very, very relaxed, so that's not the best shot. These guys are looking chill and beautiful moonlight. Now you can tell that they're chill because they got their heads down. Some are eating and they're grooming. Pridelands are looking in one direction. So find the impalas that were making a noise. Possibly sounding like just one. Woo! It is fresh this morning, boys and girls. The light is wonderful. Light is blinding. Okay, we're just going to go see if we can find the impala that was shouting. Unfortunately, with the rain that's fallen, the ground is very hard. But Barney doesn't have to do any tracking because he's already got some lions and they're on the move.
So these lions have got up. The young male has managed to find the rest of the pride. And now they've got up and crossed the Timbawati riverbed. We've just driven all the way around. You can see as they disappear into this long grass how the white lines doesn't blend in. So they are hanging quite far behind the pride now with their brother, who is looking to be the one that's trekking, walking and stopping like that. You see how he raised his head up above the grass? So the rest of the pride are slightly ahead of them. And they are trying to keep up. So we're also going to start and follow and see where they take us this morning. It's a nice open area coming up, an old water hole or pen where they're going to be walking across now. We're just going to try and maneuver you quickly to see if we can get a view of them walking across that open area. There's still a little bit of water. See, we might be able to see some of them drinking. Yeah, we are right onto our winter, but yeah, like as you can see, we had some nice good rain last year, so we had some seriously tall grass all over the property. As you can see now, as these lines walk, like you can barely see them, which is what makes trekking a little bit difficult at times when we haven't been lucky enough to find them and just follow. When you follow their tracks, sometimes you don't see their tracks in the long grass. See, after covering such a distance, which what we've seen from this morning, the distance that the young male has covered is good 3-4 km already, and you can only imagine how much further they moved throughout the night. When we last had their tracks yesterday morning to afternoon, they were close to our boundary with the property to our east. Now where we are, just across the Timbavati River, we are heading directly west. Some of them are walking fast, quite far on a distance. It looks like they either are still trying to follow up on that distress call that we heard earlier on in the morning, or they might just be trying to hunt. So we see this one lioness here remained behind with all of the cubs, with the 2 white ones included, and the young male right at the back of the pride busy drinking. Looks like she's taking the lead of taking them towards where the rest of them are walking. Look at that, how they play around as they go along. This young male has been drinking for quite a while, since we got here about a minute and a half ago. And looking at where we followed him from, looks like that walk has taken a lot out of him, in particular because he's also limping. So we're just gonna wait for all of them to finish drinking and see where they wanna take us for the morning. If you look at the white one that's moving in front of the big female there, just where they're going, there's a young one that's ambushing them. That one looks like he wants to try and ambush so that they can practice their hunting skills. The mother is moving ahead. I don't know if she will be able to carry on now. She's given up, getting up and following the rest of the pride. You can actually hear these lions because they're all drinking together as a group. If you listen carefully, you can be able to hear them drinking. Anya, the lions are the only social cat that we have. So lionesses will always stick together as sisters and aunties. That's how the pride gets formed. And young female cubs that are born in a pride will stick with the pride. That's how the pride becomes bigger. However, young males in particular, when they become size of these big males, this male sitting in front of us, the limping one, they get kicked out of the pride by their own fathers or the new males that might be taking in the pride because they start to see them as competition. And depending on how many there are as a group of males, that's how a coalition is formed, and they get chased as far away as possible from their hometown where they were born and raised. And that is nature's way to avoid inbreeding. However, most males at that stage get killed before they become big enough to actually take over a pride. But lucky to the young female cubs, they will stick with their mothers and aunties and learn the skills of hunting and become become part of the pride, and that's how pride becomes bigger and bigger. Anya? Looking at how that young male is limping, it doesn't look like he's sore anymore, but it looks like something, maybe his hips or something might be broken. That's the type of injury that I don't think that he'll ever be able to recover fully to walk as normal again. But like you've been keeping track of him for quite a while. He's gone way better than he was when he first got injured. But unfortunately for him, whatever it is, that injured him right there, managed to do some damage that he cannot recover from. But he'll still survive his full lifespan. It looks like the Pride is taking good care of him. You can see how good he's looking. His condition has gotten much better than it was a few weeks ago. Look at his reflection in the water as he walks away. Not as so as it used to, but definitely slowly but surely making progress. But as I said, I doubt that you'll ever recover fully. Isabella, they can go for up to about a week before they drink. If they have not eaten, sometimes they can even go for longer. But this Pride looks like they have been successful in the last few days, that they're looking at their bellies. That's why they had to walk past it and get some water. So if they haven't killed anything, they won't go out of their way to get something to drink. But once they've eaten, they need a little bit of water to help with their digestive system. As you can see, they all disappeared into that long grass just on the other side of those trees. You can see the white one moving around every now and again. We're just going to try and reposition the vehicle and drive around, see if we can get a better view of them. It looks like we will be trying to catch up with them. They are moving away slowly but surely, looking like they're trying to catch up with the rest. So we are going to go. Okay, as we try to reposition, we're going to send you over to Dylan to say his good mornings this morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's great having you with us. Jean-Ray and myself, Dylan, in this magnificent Kalahari environment at Tswalu. As always, it's just a real genuine pleasure having you with us. We're going to try find the meerkats again today. I know we've had some ups and downs with them in terms of locating in the past couple of days, but we are going to be heading out there. The tracking teams actually did locate the burrow system that they've gone back to again now, so we're going to try to do that. And we really want to try to keep tabs on that group, for the reason that alpha female has been heavily pregnant, and we hope, well, she should be dropping her pups any day soon. So we really want to try keep tabs on that group, and that'll be quite exciting and fun to sort of follow those youngsters as they come out the burrow in a couple of weeks and grow up, and it'll be really special. But anyhow, the kids session is over now. So obviously it's wonderful having them along, and they are totally welcome to carry on asking questions. Questions are open to all viewers now. Send it to hashtag WildEarth. And yeah, please just engage with us, ask us things. It's lovely hearing all the comments that we get. And Jean-Ray and I, we're just going to go out there and just have an amazing day, as we always do. How can you not? Jean-Ray is dancing there. And we have, just to say, Mel has not abandoned us. I know there's been some people asking about Mel, or Mel Gibson, Mel 2.0, whatever we want to call it now. She's been with us the whole way. She has not abandoned us. You see, she's got a little beanie on to keep warm. Looking a little bit worse for wear, but still solid, still going strong. So yeah, she'll be with us the whole way. So actually, just while we're standing here now, Jean-Andre, I don't know if you can capture it with the camera. You can see that the shadow of the earth. It's actually a beautiful. I'm going to climb off the vehicle so it's stable, and it's very, very, very distinct at this time of the morning. That beautiful blue band, and it tapers off right across to the left and right across to the right, and it's nice and wide in the middle. So that's just the shadow of the earth being cast into the atmosphere over here at the moment. I mean, I love looking at these atmospheric phenomena. You know, it's not just about, because, you know, ultimately, you know, if you think the environment that we're moving in, and when we're looking at the meerkats and we're lucky enough to see aardvark or pangolin or lions or elephants or whatever it is, you know, all of this boils down, all of these organisms boil down to, and I'm talking about plants as well, it boils down to the soils that we're on, which in turn is the rocks, you know, your bedrock in the area, which in turn is also affected by climate, that kind of stuff and that. So, you know, I just love looking at atmospheric phenomena as well. It's not just about the animate things out there. But yeah, it's going to be a good day like every day. And yeah, feel free to chat with us.
Good morning, everyone. This is Djuma from andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. Just trying to find some cheetah this morning, see if we can find one. As you can hear, some monkeys are lambing around. So let's take have a look, see if we can find a cheetah. Come around. Right over there. And yeah, it's very, very difficult. Depending in the area where you are. Some days it could be, but it's very difficult to say that. Yeah. Come look around. Right over there. Right, she's moving around. We just got a cheetah, guys. As you can see, but very difficult, and we can't drive off-road. It's been very wet here. We'll try our best to loop around. Okay. He looks a bit nervous. We'll see. Maybe because the monkey, they were lambing around. So he's trying to stay away from everyone who knows where he is. So it's changing direction every now and again. We'll keep an eye on him. Let's just stand by here and see, he might come back this way. And there's some more monkeys down there. So I missed the question? Oh, nice. Nice house. Nah, they're beautiful animals. And very interesting. Very brief, Clive. Yeah, we'll try and come around, see if we can find him again. We'll come around to the other side. Because he just went in. Let's come around that side because it's more up and down here. I can see the monkeys there. Okay, guys, we'll try to find him and see if we can get that cheetah again. But while we trying to drive around, we'll send you guys across to Ngala with Bunny with the lion. Enjoy the guys. We'll see you later.
Look at how focused is this big male. Right at the back, remember we were sitting with the other cubs and the young male. So his brother just took off and headed on that direction. And he's looking very interested to see what his brother is going to do. If he is to hear his brother maybe fighting with that young male, he might rush there to go and back his brother up, because this young male has already gotten to the stage where he becomes a little bit of a threat to them. It looks like he is giving up. So nothing big has happened there that is of his concern. Look at him walking towards where the rest of the pride is sleeping. Look at the young white female. Look at how focused she is. There's a helicopter flying past us right now. You see how she's looking straight up to where this sound is coming from, something she's not used to. So that was a helicopter that's flying by. Yeah, Kruger Park. Possibly heading somewhere. See how these lines are moving, slipping, getting up and carrying on again. Here comes one, the big male that went back to investigate where the young male was. So didn't hear any noises coming from that side, so I think he's given up on his mission of trying to chase the young male. Look at how full his belly is looking. As I pointed out earlier, they definitely had something to eat in the last 2 days. Whatever it wasn't too big, because him and his brother are looking quite full, but most of the prides doesn't look like they got much to eat there. So look at these cubs, the young male that's about to go to the bathroom there. So you can see as they move along with their full belly, some of them are going to the bathroom right in front of us just to make themselves light. In particular, after such a drink there, the digestive system has kicked in, so some of the food needs to be left behind so they can feel a little bit light. Slowly but surely, this looks like this. I agree with you, Sarah. It looks very cool, in particular now when you get to hear them breathing, interacting. Look at that one busy cleaning herself, trying to get rid of some of the dew that she's collected from the grass as they move along. Okay, I'll send you over to Trishella so you can have an up-close and personal look to a bird.
It is super close to me. It's just awesome. It is a crested barbet, everyone. I want you to listen to the cacophony. And then everything goes silent. There is a multitude of birds here. Franklin, there's crested barbet, there's white-crested helmet shrikes, there are hornbills, there are starlings, and they're all just moving all over the place. So it's hard to actually focus on them. But this crested barbet is nice and close to us. Ooh, black-headed oriole is down, just peeking on this tree ahead of us there, on the low branch that's going down. And it's just blown off. All the birds are very busy this morning. Very, very busy. So it's hard to get them on camera. But can you listen to this? Isn't it a wonderful dawn chorus? The Let's see what other bird will come close. There you go. Let's. I want to camera. Free camera. No takers. Okay, there's the white-crested owl tracks on top there. Oh, don't point, Trishala. When you point, they know and then they fly away. Yeah, it's there, bottom of your screen. And now in the middle and to the left, off they go. Sorry guys about the gremlins, known as internet issues. But here, enjoying the sound of the birds and this beautiful morning. There's our white-crested helmet shrikes. They are so cute. This is just lovely. There's just a multitude of birds flying all about. So difficult to get on camera, so we're getting the ones that can very occasionally. There's actually, I'm hearing some alarm calls just off to that side there. It sounds like impala, but I also heard the impala kind of talking to each other. The whole... I think that was a pretty good example. So we're going to take the link road and just have a look. So to make sure no birds around for us to say hi to. Some things that leopards get. Yes, you agree, BK? BK agrees. It's important to use all our senses. Smell, our hearing, as well as sight. But smell often gets left behind. And we definitely smell its cat. And now I'm going to be smelling for that buttered popcorn smell that leopards will have in their urine from a special molecule, and then we'll be able to tell if they are around. Let's go and have a look.
We've just had the most incredible sunrise. Of course, the sunrise for us is considerably later than our colleagues who are, trishing them down in the Lowveld there. But even more than that, before it gets over these hills, that sun's been sitting on the other side there for 10 minutes already. So the meerkats that we headed down to now, try to pick up on that burrow, the sun's hitting us now where we are, but it's only going to be on their burrows in another 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we're going to head down there just, and then we'll walk into where the burrows are, and then just bite the bullet and have a bit of patience. But how gorgeous is that, eh? You can never get tired of a sunrise. And how fast those colours change. Day has just asked, how long does the Earth's shadow stay in the air? I can't give an exact figure. I could sit and time it, but okay, we're just over the Dune crest now, but from where I'm standing, that shadow's completely gone already. And that we were chatting about it 10 minutes ago, probably 15 minutes ago at the most, gone completely. So it's a very, very, very narrow window of time, and it's just before sunrise that you actually get that. So, you know, the sun rays are coming over the curvature of the earth, throwing that shadow up there. So it's a very, very limited amount of time that you'll actually see that. Wow. I know I keep saying how beautiful it is, but it really is. I mean, it's like... Yes, look at that. And this morning the moon this morning was gorgeous. It's just this little sliver. And the stars now down in this part of the world are just something to, I mean, you can just stare at these stars. Gendre, we were looking at them last night. Yes, you know, we were sitting around a fire last night, and the stars were just unbelievable, because there's so little light pollution in these areas, so it's really like dark sky country, and it is just, that's something, if any of you are able to come out here at some point, and for those of you who have been out here, you'll appreciate what I'm saying. And I guess many of you also stay in areas where there's dark skies, but it's yes, wow. You can't describe it. It's just the Milky Way, just millions upon millions upon millions of stars. But speaking of stars, I think we're going to amble down here and see if these meerkats are close to getting out of bed. I think they will be probably in the next 20 minutes. Yes, pure magic. Absolute.
Listen, in the distance to our left, you can hear there is a head of impala distress calling. Seeing these lions, they're lying in the open areas in the nice long grass. Great camouflage they have with this grass. But those impalas have been watching them as they're walking towards this area. Now that they're lying down, and those impalas are slowly but surely losing their view because they're blending with the grass so much. Can't say the same about that white line though. They slowly but surely not calling as much because the danger that they saw and that they're warning each other about is kind of disappearing into the grass. We can't see them, so they moved off slowly and they disappeared into the thick bush there. But you can see these lines are not bothered by that. It does looking at how many of them have got their heads down in the moment, it does look like this might be an area where they're gonna spend some time today. Unless they hear something, they might still carry up and carry on going, but definitely not to try and hunt those impalas because the element of surprise is gone. The impalas are aware about their presence in the area. Look at that young white male cub busy playing with his other brother there. It looks like he just had enough. He's decided he's gonna get up and come and join the rest of the crew. As he comes slowly, let's just keep watching him. Let's see what he does. If he comes all the way towards where the rest of the siblings are, he might give a little bit of a greeting ceremony because he was slightly behind with the young male earlier on. He might haven't had that much interaction with the rest of them this morning, so he might throw some greeting sessions in there. Look at that. Watch that. Just walking past his mom. A little bit of a tail flick. Almost lied on top of the other one, but the other one was nice enough to get up and move elsewhere. Looks like the rosemate is gaining interest, slowly but surely, to the impalas that are calling on a distance. See, now that he picked his head up, I don't know if you could hear that the yeah, Butterfly, these two roast males, you are 100% right, the cats are quite grumpy this morning. These two roast males have been pulling this pride around, growling at each other, every now and again wanting to give a go to the young male, so they are quite grumpy this morning. Little do we know what happened overnight that made them so grumpy, but you just never know with these things. You don't never know what happens in the middle of the night when you're not with them. However, watch how he is so alert more than any of these other lions right now. That was another bird giving a distress call as it flew off. Everything has just gone dead quiet down here. Lisa, they are family orientated. They are really in this pride to try and make sure that this cub survives. That's why they're here to defend them as their fathers. However, looking at how full their bellies were compared to the rest of the pride area, as I pointed out earlier, I don't know how family orientated they were when they ate all the food and don't let some of the cubs get as much as they did. However, that is a story of our life with lions. See the female onto the left next to the other rose male. She also looks like she's going back to sleep. She picked her head up earlier. It looks like she was interested in something, but looks like she's just gone back to sleep, as all of them are right now. Kath, everything with that white male looks like it's gonna be white. He's already got a little bit of mane growing, starting to show on his ears, a little bit of an extended hair there at the back of his neck as he raises his head up like that. I'm sure you can, if we zoom in nicely, you can be able to see that there's a line of extended hair that's slightly longer than the rest. That looks like most of the fur in his body. It does have a little bit of a brown tinge, but I don't think it's gonna go as brown as the Tony lines are, so I think it will be mostly white. Djuma, yeah, they look quite cute lying down and not doing much. It's kind of misleading. It might make you think that you can cuddle with them, that they might not be dangerous. However, as peaceful as they look and as cute as they look, sleeping and not doing much, in particular when they're full-bedded, they can all still be very, very dangerous. So if you come onto safari or see sleeping lions, don't try to cuddle with them at all. It is beautiful to see them. There is a hyena on a distance right through the trees there that's standing there dead still and staring at these lions. Can you see him? See that Guaris there on a distance. below those quarries. So what will possibly happen here, this hyena came to investigate the impalas that were distress calling. No, go left. We got him. So he came to investigate, hoping that it might be something small, something like a leopard that maybe was giving those impalas a fright, and more so hoping that if a leopard would have killed that impala, if he get in here on time, that he might be able to steal from him. However, to his surprise, he came across this pride of lions, so he was standing there staring at them, and he quickly saw one of the bronze males pick their head up, and he just decided that this can be too dangerous for him. So as this hyena walks off, as we lose the view, while the lions keep sleeping, we're gonna send you over to Taylor.
How exciting to spend some time with some lions. We have had absolutely no luck with the lions this morning, and they did come to visit camp like I suspected they would. They came for a drink at Ndlovu Dam, and then they sat up on the dam wall which surrounds the eco-training camp and roared for most of the evening. We did pick up on one set of tracks, and they sort of headed east, but then they turned off into the drainage line and they don't come out. So I'm not sure if they're in there, because then I heard roars a little bit further to the west of me at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just sort of doing my rounds and circling. But we've actually not seen anything other than the elephants this morning. We haven't even seen our first impala. I think everything's hiding away from the cold. So we've just moved up to some higher ground to see if there maybe are some breeding herds of impala or some zebra up and around here. Also a good place for leopard. This is where the female leopard with the cubs, young cubs, is hiding away. So I thought we might as well come and have a little look over here. I haven't driven up here for a few days, so we shall see. But otherwise, all fairly quiet in the bush. So we've started the investigation process of the male lions, the two bigger boys that we've been seeing. We have an idea of who they could potentially be, but I just wanted to 100% confirm and just check photos after this morning's drive. I think let's drive this road. Let's go check this sort of basalt ridge here. And so that's quite exciting. So hopefully we're able to reveal who we suspect that they may be. And then I'm sure there'll be further digging to confirm, but it looks like them. Ah, there's an animal. There is a hornbill sitting up on top of that tree. There we go. That's a southern red-billed hornbill sitting up in a tree. You can easily tell the difference between them and the yellow bill. Just their bills are so much more slender. Yes, Michelle, funny enough, we do actually see quite a few leopards here at Pridelands. You won't believe how the ground is often littered with leopard tracks first thing in the morning. The brush is still quite dense here, and I suppose the leopards haven't had as much vehicle interaction as they have had, say, at Ngala or even in the Sabi sand. So there are a few relaxed individuals. The problem is it's just trying to figure out what their routes are. And because I'm new to this area and a lot of the other instructors that are here haven't spent years and years following these particular animals, we don't really know, what their patterns are. So once I start figuring out territories, then we have an idea. Okay, there's a little dove that has also joined the hornbill up in the tree. Yeah, you know what they're all doing. They're just warming themselves up. But like I said, I come and I check this area fairly frequently along this ridge, is because we know that there is a female leopard and she's walked into this area so many times with cub tracks. So it's only a matter of time before we bump her. And the more and more we start to drive these areas, birds have now flown off, the better chances we have of bumping into them. Also, just down a little bit further north of us, so if we go from this ridge that sort of goes from west to east or east to west, whichever way you want to look at it, we go down, and Leopard Dam is not too far away, and that's one of the most prominent water sources at Pridelands, and then we've got Ndlovu Dam, which is in that direction, a little bit further southeast, where the eco-training camp is. So we know that those cats will drink regularly, and we've seen male-female tracks, and we think there's at least 2 female leopards within this area, and there's definitely 1 male leopard, which you've all seen, which we call the Shimungwe male. And I've seen his tracks. We actually think he had his tracks now this morning, coming from Kruger Corner Gate, and sort of coming in this direction. So again, it's another reason why we are just scouting around here. You've seen it, especially at Djuma, where, you know, WildEarth has been following leopards for a very long time. How some leopards have favorite trees that they like to sit in, or a favorite rock, or things like that. We just need to figure those places out. And eco training is now going into doing the backup trails, their apprenticeship trails courses, so walking, which is great because you can find a lot more animals on foot. So with all the trails guides that are going to be out and about, they're definitely going to be able to help me a lot, because we can't always follow up on tracks. We can't spend 2 hours walking and finding things. So I'm really excited for the guys, which start today, in fact, start going around, and we'll be doing hours and hours of walking to get experience in the bush. So yay. You know, it's difficult when you're initially starting to become a safari guide and you're trying to learn how to drive the car, and you have to talk about certain plants and incorporate weather. There's a lot of different categories you have to get through when you do an assessment drive. And I think you're so focused on that and trying to provide a great guest experience that you don't always look at all the tracks on the road. It's a very overwhelming thing. The sort of naturally seeing tracks as you're driving along comes on a little bit later on as you develop as a guide. You can't be perfect right in the beginning. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect safari guide anyways. So you know, we start so early in the morning, we drive over a lot of tracks as well. It's difficult to spotlight and track. You know, I went back this morning and did the same loop I did you know, an hour or 45 minutes later, just to make sure that those tracks went off where I thought they went off, and I didn't miss 1 or 2. So sure, guiding is difficult, but now that we're going to have lots of teams on foot, fantastic. We're going to have a few vehicles out driving around too, so it's going to make it a lot easier. And then just, you know, sort of listening at night to what the bush tells you as well. But that's something that all safari guides do.
So if you look at how these lions are sleeping at the moment, you look at the young male, how he's outcasted. He's sleeping on a far off distance compared to the rest of them. He's been trying to get closer. It's a little bit of a cold morning down here. Majority of them, if you look, you can see that they're almost lying on top of each other to share a little bit of a body heat. But every time the young male has been trying to approach or want to get slightly close to the rest of the pride, the 2 Ross males are getting up and they're growling at him to try and keep him further out. So at his age, at around 4, he is not the offspring of the Ross males. So if it wasn't for his mothers that has been defending him the whole time, the Ross male would wanted to get rid of them long time ago. So as he comes and as he grows bigger and bigger, hence we pointed out earlier how big he looks compared to when he's standing next to them, they feeling that he's now a threat. This might have even been more that whatever they ate, he must have given them a little bit of a tough time, maybe challenged them a little bit more than he did in the past, maybe challenged them a little bit more than his mothers did. And because of all of that, they starting to feel threatened by his presence in the pride, that when they kill something, he will compete them for it. So you can see he's getting up and he's looking at his mother as she walks towards the rest of the pride, and he would want to do exactly the same as she does, because as she walks along, she's most likely to come and have a little bit of a greeting ceremony and sleep right next to the rest of them to share a little bit of a body heat in this cold morning. But he knows, as he sits, you can see how he's focusing to the rest of the pride. He knows that if he is to get up, watch what the female does, rub head and a little bit of a grooming session. It's a very, very important thing that with these cats, because they just need to reassure each other how they value each other, how it's so important for them to keep together, because that is how they where the success of the pride lies. Because in times like this, when they're not doing much and there's no food, they need to share that love so that they value each other. And even after a serious fight, after trying to feed on something small, where every single one of them is trying to get a piece, they can still want to reunite because they're thinking about these good things. You see how that female is just sharing their love all around, walking around, rubbing heads, grooming all of them, a little bit of a lick here and there. So it's a beautiful thing that, and you see how she's sleeping right on top of them again. Same thing that the young male would love to do, but he just popped back down because the minute he stood up and put his head up, the males looked at him again. So it does look, at the moment, the majority of them have settled down, and it looks like this is where they might try and live for a while. But few individuals that were still quite on a far off distance are still coming. Look at that cub coming towards the rest of them. So this cub looks like she had some to eat when Krishna line territories, it really depends on how strong the males are of that particular pride. For an example, the territory of the Birmingham Pride is quite big. They come from all the way from the central part of the property, all the way to the south of our property, all the way to the east, and even out of our property to the property to our east. At the moment, with the cubs being the size they are, they're starting to explore most of their territory. In the last few days, we have followed tracks of this pride, serious long distances. But when the cubs are very young, they become restricted. They don't want to walk as far because they don't want to risk the lives of their cubs by moving into the corners of the territory where they might come across other prides. However, the territory of the females will be much, much smaller compared to the territory of the males themselves, because males might even have multiple prides in their territory. Example, the Ross males are the fathers of these cubs on the Birmingham Pride, which is right on the central part of our property at the moment at andBeyond Ngala. And to the west, there is a breakaway Birmingham Pride, which the Ross males also fathered those cubs up in the western side of the property. And going to the south, into the property called Manyeleti, they had another pride there for a while, but in the last few months or so, we haven't really seen them going that much into Manyeleti. So that might mean that there is other lines there that are in direct competition or starting to challenge them. And so territory shapes up and change every single time depending on what's happening around. So a territory could be anything from 15 to 20 square kilometers, sometimes even bigger. Or sometimes if those lines are now becoming weak, it can even be smaller. I hope that answers your question there, Krishna. Grace, line dynamics are very, very interesting. And it's so interesting to actually watch the pride and how they interact with each other. How they now, similar thing that we will do in a cold morning like today, how we like to sit very next to each other to keep each other warm. How they do things like that, that you can directly compare those type of things to the things we do. Looking at how they all bundled next to each other there, just getting a little bit of a body heat. Every now and again, the one that's further away, you'll see them getting up and don't feel like they want to miss out with what everybody else is doing. So it is very, very interesting. That so we'll keep sitting with these lines and see if anything else unfolds here. In the meantime, we're going to send you to Dylan at Tswalu Kalahari to see if we find his meerkat.
So Genre and I, we've just got into where the burrow system is. It's called, we've named this one Boskia Burrow. Now Boskia, that big tree in the distance over there, that large one that's called a shepherd's tree, the Boskia albitranca. And there's a number of them around this burrow system over here. This largest shrubby kind of looking bush right at the burrows here, that's a shepherd's tree. Just out of interest, while we're talking about shepherd's trees, the scientific name Boskia albitranca meaning white stem, and you can actually see the color of the stem on this tree. You got it there, Genre? See, it's a very, very light colored stem, so hence the name albitranca. But just I was listening with half an hour to our colleagues chatting about lion territories and how fluid they can be and how they can change over time. And that's very, very similar to meerkats. In fact, most things out here is, we tend to think of a territory as being this set thing. It's defined, very, very clear parameters, and it's really not the case. The nature of these environments mean that animals have to be very, very adaptable. They have to be very fluid. These territory boundaries can shift a huge amount depending on external pressures, and that could be from another lion pride, it could be from another a group of meerkats, could be another territorial wildebeest bull that's moved into an area. So you constantly get this like dynamic of shifting territory boundaries. And like I say, and then there's other environmental conditions such as food availability. You find that in the harsher the conditions, the less food available, these territories tend to expand, and there's these shifts that start taking place in that. So try not to think of a territory as like, okay, you got this little box, that lion's there, that lion's there, that one's there, and that's how it is. These things just, as a nice example here, a couple of years ago I was just doing looking at rough ideas on, I took 3 female leopards here as an example, and just those are the ones that I was focused on. And initially that one's territory was massive, and then another one took up residence next to her, and suddenly her territory contracted and she shifted a little bit. And then another one took up, a new female came in, took up a territory on the northern side of where she was, and suddenly these territories just went like this, like whoomp. So it's really interesting to see that often a territory is larger than it needs to be. And they're just doing it, well, if there's less pressure, well, why not? And that'll go for meerkats, anything. But the moment they start getting more and more pressure being put on them from other sources, suddenly those boundaries can start changing. So, that's just chatting about territories. And it's nice that the guys were touching on that kind of stuff, because it's very, very interesting, the ecological aspects of these animals. So Genre, I know we've taken bets again as to which burrows are going to come out. You've got this large one in front with a big mound of sand, and then that smaller mound to the left. We're thinking these are the 2 burrows, or at least one of those that they're going to come out of. We're hoping. So Liz just said she didn't know meerkats are territorial. Meerkats are highly territorial, and they defend their territories incredibly aggressively against other meerkats. In fact, they've got what we call it, it's a kind of colloquial term for it, called the meerkat war dance. And what they do is, and it's fantastic to watch, and you seldom get to see it, because they are so good at maintaining these territorial borders, scent marking, using latrines, that kind of stuff. So other meerkats coming in, they know, okay, well, this is not the area, so they kind of stay away. But occasionally you get 2 groups that'll meet up on these borders, or you'll get a group intruding into another one's territory. And they arch their backs and their tails go like vertical like that. The Afrikaans name is actually a stokstert meerkat, which means an upright tail, or a tail like a stick, because they put their tails up, their backs are arched, and then they actually bound towards each other like that in their respective groups, making these little growling sounds. And it's just awesome to watch that. So meerkats are very, very territorial. What they do tolerate, though, it's one thing having an intruding group, but then what we see, and what we've seen, because you get dispersal animals, so if a group of meerkats, let's say this group is sitting here, Okay, and suddenly they come out the boat and they see here comes another group of meerkats. That'll just send them into like high alert, like DEFCON 4 kind of thing, and they're like, woof, okay, all right, and they'll go after it. But what they do tolerate is individuals that move in, and those are often dispersing animals from other colonies. Now, Genre and I are following that Xhosa group. Remember, this is the rock stars, this little group that we're hoping is going to drop pups. Now, the Xhosas, we had that just before the badger incident. There was this funny little pug-nosed meerkat individual that came in, and he was like loitering. They don't even bother chasing him. They're like, keep an eye on him. But you see, that's coming in as an individual. That colony doesn't see that one individual as a threat. The alphas will keep an eye on him and they'll make sure that he stays away from the pups and that. But there's no ways he's going to oust the group or anything. So, and that's actually how you get these individuals kind of linking in and creating genetic diversity between these different groups. So that's interesting. So yeah, meerkats are very, very territorial. There is the other aspect of, and when you look at it, I'm just using different examples here. If you look at things like cheetah, your cheetah males tend to operate, I mean, like in Tswalu, these ranges can be massive, but your cheetah males tend to be very specific in the areas that they use, and even though those areas are big, they're pretty well defined. Your cheetah females they can cover multiple different male areas, so they'll just be covering huge areas. And if you compare that to leopards, it's just the opposite way around. It's your females that have got your very small territories and your males that encompass a whole lot of female territories. So there's a whole lot of different strategies out here, and it's all very, very interesting. But we just kind of like bite the bullet with these meerkats. The temperature now is beautiful. It's it's chilly, but it's not cold, which is really good. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time here.
Right. We have decided to come all the way back to where the carcass was, that the lions killed a buffalo a couple of days ago. And I thought, before we come and rehabilitate this area, we will just have one last look. So we're going to slowly make our way around. So that's one of the things, again, that students are taught, just, the importance of conservation and the effects of off-roading. And you really don't want to off-road all the time. So you try and make one track in and one track out, which is what we've created here. And then essentially, we've obviously tried to choose the easiest way in, but also the way that's going to have the least environmental impact on this particular area. So we're going to head around. You'll see we jump into a little bit of a river system now. So it's all sandy, and then we'll cut through and then go back around. And by the time that we're finished rehabilitating this area, you won't even know that anyone was here. We'll probably come and rake the sand nicely so that the vehicle tracks are no longer here. And where it's necessary, we might even, in this very sensitive areas, we might brush pack. So we'll take typically thorn sort of trees or trees with spines on them. And there's so much sickle bush that's lying around here that elephants have pushed over. So we'll take that stuff that's already been broken and pushed down and then just pack it in those sort of sections. So that's what we'll do. It'll be nice to see how much of the carcass is actually left, because we know the hyenas came in and started crunching on it. The vultures had their turn. And then, of course, the jackals came in. So we'll just go and inspect and see what else is happening. We're almost there. Just a little bit more bundu bashing to do. There we go. Chris, you were actually wondering about what the carcass might look like. Well, we'll show you we're about 30-40 meters away now. Just got to go through this little dip here, up and around, like probably on this section here we'll brush pack it nicely. It can be a little bit sensitive, but the rest of it, with a bit of rain and the grass comes through again, because all this grass is going to disappear, well, most of it. Animals will come and feed along drainage systems. Okay. So here we go. The kill is just in here. I'm going to drive us. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to actually, there's a few bits and pieces here. I think I'm going to jump out. Let me quickly take my gloves off. Just going to walk over there. Get all the bits and pieces that I need. Rob, you've inquired about bundu bashing. So bundu bashing is basically when we take the vehicles off road and then drive them around. You can see I've got 20,000 different layers on today, nice and warm. Right, no lions here, no hyenas here, and there is virtually nothing left. I'm not going to pick anything up with my hands because you don't really want to touch carcasses and things like anthrax and just gross germs and stuff. I'm fine, thank you. But you can see, if I do this, here's one of the ribs of the buffalo. You can see how the hyenas have actually chewed into it. I'll see if I can bring one to you. It's like chopsticks. Not very good at using those. I will bring this back to the vehicle. Also, there's so much lion feces here, it's quite gross. There we go. So there we go. You can have a closer look at the rib bone of a 5-day-old buffalo carcass, and you can see, sorry, I'm actually going to move forward. I can't see what you're being showed, but you can see how the hyenas have sort of smashed straight through the rib bone. Look how sharp those shards are as well. And they were trying to get to the little bit of bone marrow that's on the inside. So nothing here now, but if a hyena were to pass through here, it would definitely still have a little nibble on these bones. I'm going to put it down. And then there's some feathers. Go back. You always got to be careful and make sure that there isn't anything around, but I did have a look in here. Here's one feather. Quite a few vulture feathers around here, which is epic. See if there's anything else that's interesting. No, but the horns are completely gone. I don't know where they've taken the boss. So, I mean, you saw the whole carcass was around here. You can see over here, what? There's a tree. That this is where they emptied the stomach contents out. It's difficult to see through all the trees, but there's lots of buffalo dung on the ground, but that would have come from the inside. It doesn't smell nice around here. I don't like the smell. Look at this. Peter, I have absolutely no idea where the horns have gone. I was looking for them now. The hyenas have probably dragged them off with the rest of the bones. So this is a feather from a vulture. And you can see that it's no longer needed anymore. It's very tatty. It's not a good flying feather. So this would have just come out. I mean, obviously when they're squabbling around quite a bit at the carcasses, they do lose a bit of feathers, and you've seen how they launch in at one another and pull bits and pieces out. But the feathers of vultures, they're thick, if that makes any sense. They're super dense here, but I suppose you need good, strong flying feathers for when you head up. And then look at how they become very soft and fluffy. And this is really good for the insulation. This is going to help keep them warm. So this is just sort of closer to where their skin is. I thought we would have found more feathers, but there's a couple of small ones, but nothing too significant. I might hold on to this and take it back to camp. And it'll be interesting just to show the students. Oh, it's quite gross. Actually, I don't want to put that on my stuff. I shall just throw it down over there. And yeah, I'll do a little bit more investigating around here and see what else we can find. So maybe I'll have a few more things to show you.
Da-dun, 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 da-dun. So, this cold weather, and we've been talking about it for quite a while now, and how it's going to be impacting on these little armored ground crickets. It really is impacting on them now. This one we just found at the base of this bush close to the meerkats over here. This one is dead. You know, there's no life left on this. So this is this frost that's just come in. But look at that close up, eh? They are pretty awesome. His antennae have been eaten off a little bit. They are very, very short. Lovely hooks on his feet. Look at that. You know, pretty incredible designs. But I'm going to show you something even worse. Wait. Okay, so over here, we happen to notice, I'm going to get whatever side works there for you. I want to look at this armored ground cricket here. He's actually still hanging on to the bush, but his whole abdomen has been eaten away. It's been gobbled, I would guess probably by another armored ground cricket. He's like holding it, and we're actually testing it, so we're touching his antenna. You see his antenna are still responding. So I don't know if that's just kind of like a nervous kind of like reflex or whatever, but those antenna are still doing this, and that guy is half eaten. That is absolutely freaky on so many different levels. But anyway, so just shows these poor little armored ground crickets, and they've been with us on our journey for, like 4 weeks already. So Jandra and I are becoming like a little bit sad about this now. But anyway, that's just really interesting. And while we've got him up close, you can actually see those lovely spikes on the top of the thorax over there. And that's obviously a mechanism if something grabs. And then you've got these little, let me grab something up for you. Hold on. Over here. You've got these like little holes on the side, and that's where they spray that liquid out, that defensive liquid, if something tries to grab them. So they're really super little creatures. I mean, yes. You can't not like something like this. I mean, that's, Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. It's been great having you with us. They are so cool. I mean, there's just they are the coolest things. And this is the thing, everything out here is cool. Doesn't matter if it's an armored ground cricket or a termite or a meerkat or a lion or whatever it is. All of nature's cool. A rose in a manicured garden in a city is cool. Everything is cool. It's just like nature is cool. Case closed. I mean, that's brilliant. So cool. So these little meerkats, they're still in bed. Anyway, I'll say goodbye to everyone. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you next season.
So see how every single one of these lines now is completely gone flat. And of course the one female is making sure by putting the paw in one of the cubs that they're still there. Look at how great is their camouflage in this brown grass that they're lying on. If you happen to be walking slightly further away from here without knowing that they're here, at this moment in time, the one thing that will help you is putting one of those two white cubs, because they are the most distinct thing in that picture right now. But lions in general, in times like this, if you walk quite far, unless they pick their heads up for you to see, if they carry on sleeping flat, it will be such a difficult thing for us to see. See, the sun is coming out slightly, breaking through the clouds, and so you can see how that picture is just lightened up there. It will be nice for us to warm up with the sun for now. Same thing with these lions, but if that sun stays out of the clouds, they might need to get up and find a better shady spot. It looks like it's disappearing behind the clouds again. So lions will rest for extended hours of time. They can spend up to about between 16 and 18 hours a day sleeping. And as of now, because they've been moving for most of the night from where they are now, if that sun comes out behind the clouds again, they might just find a shady spot. They might sleep in this particular spot unless something comes all the way until at around 4 or 5 this evening. That's when they will get active again. So starting from now all the way then, they might not do much. So of course also in the evenings, they don't continuously move throughout the night. They spend time lying down, get up, try to hunt, all together in a day, between 16 and 18 hours. What
thanks for coming back to us. Apologies, we did have some issues with our connection on the other side, but hey, here we are. Jandra and I were just again looking at that armored ground cricket in the tree, and it is the most horrendous thing. Even his mouth parts were still moving. That's the one that's like half eaten. So, but again, it just shows what it just shows how amazing nature is. So the meerkats haven't come up yet. We're very, very confident they are here. With this wind, they'll probably come up a little bit later than we were expecting. You can see how the grass is all moving over there. But again, there's no rush. And for all we know, and this is the fun part, for all we know, she may even have had her pups already. In which case, it might even be a no-show. But we don't know. We don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure. And the only way we're going to find out is just sticking it out and having that patience. So, Rob has asked a question after my own heart there. Are there any dung beetles around? Dung beetles are the most wonderful little group of insects. Unfortunately, this far into the dry season, the winter season at Tswalu, I haven't seen, when last did we see one? About 4 weeks ago we saw, there were 1 or 2 around, but very, very few now. So just with these cold temperatures, it's not good dung beetle time of the year. With the onset of the rains again, if we get early rains October, but otherwise you're normally looking at mid to end of November, early December, that's when the dung beetle is going to be out again. But yeah, we'll still be and we'll be showing you lots of dung beetles, because we get these like really big ones. I mean, some of them are that size, and then we get these minuscule little ones, and they got such cool life strategies, and you get all these different colors: purple, green, black. So we'll definitely be having a look at dung beetles in the not too distant future. Nano's saying how much she loves dung beetles, and yeah, I mean, what's not to love about a dung beetle, eh? I think, yeah, everything has its place out here, sometimes, and dare I say it, I mean, even things like flies and tapeworms, it's like, yeesh, it's like, those are probably like 2, not a high on my hit list there, but yeah, everything has its place and everything's important, and I think that's the big thing. Yeah, we touched on that yesterday when we were looking at that aardvark, how important large ecosystems are for conserving biodiversity. We were talking about wild dogs, and there's a really interesting challenge. There's not that many reserves left in Africa that are large enough to take populations of wild dogs. And, so you sit with big challenges there. But it's not just about those big things. It's about the armored ground cricket. It's about the meerkats. It's about the flies. It's about the parasites that live on all these cool animals that we're seeing. These meerkats, they'll have a whole lot of parasites on them. And that's the essence of biodiversity and conserving biodiversity. The higher your biodiversity, potentially, the more resilient systems are to change. And if we're looking at in terms of climate change, you really want as many of those component parts intact on these reserves. So that's very important.
So as we were saying earlier, this one Ross male had a beautiful green leaf on his forehead that he possibly collected as they were walking, being the dominant male, often walking right at the back of the whole pride, rubbing his forehead onto the leaves and sniffing to see who else might have urinated there. And as he does that, some of the leaves stayed in his forehead, which looked quite cool. He's just gone completely flat onto his side, so I think by doing that he would have managed to get rid of that leaf. Although it didn't look like that was a problem for him at all. It didn't look like it was bothering him whatsoever. Look at how big that stomach is. If you compare him to the rest of these lions, whatever it is that they ate, him and his brother got majority of it. You can see how he is taking deep breaths. So with the belly being that full, there is not enough space for the lungs to expand and contract. You can see how he's taking deep breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And right now for a big guy, there is no worry in the world at all. But looking at how asleep he's looking, you will be amazed as to how quickly will he react should he hear anything that might be walking towards them and the rest of the pride as they lie in this beautiful open area here. So unlike us, that when we full bedded like that, we will be fast asleep and don't hear much. With these lions, they never go into a full sleep. They take cat naps, so they'll still be able to hear what's happening around. It could be anything that moves in the grass. If we start this vehicle, Wazoo, 100% rat, fat cat. It's a flat cat. You can see how flat he is right now. Not doing much at all, and I think that's gonna carry on for quite a while throughout the day. Unless the sun bothers him, maybe he might look for a shady spot. Okay, as we carry on sitting here watching this Rosemary breathe in and breathe out, I'm going to send you over to Dumi to go see the other flat cat that he's got on his side.
Welcome back, everyone. We have a line now. If you remember earlier, last year we were following up the female cheetah, and now we're beautiful line, just lying flat here as well. And if you take a look, one that lying right on the road there, you look on the belly, you can see he's got like a red mark there, which is the blood she got. There might be. Yeah. They might be caught something already, but I'm not sure what they might got to be. Can only see, I managed to see 3 lines here. There might be more than that. There. Rob there, beautiful for sure. If you take a look, she's still young. Yeah, and she's not even worrying about anything around. Now, if you look, all a cat like this, when they're still young, they will have a spot for camouflage. She's looked very tired. She's just closing her eye. And then you can see they're just the king of the jungle. They don't want to move or anywhere. There's another one just lifting her heads up. Sorry? It looked like one of the young male. You can't really see much because the grass is along the way. If Masad is zooming there, you might be able to see. Because you can see the dark marking. She still have this kind of more hair. We'll send you guys across to Steve with the hippos. I enjoy there. Well, I'm sure we'll be still.
Thanks, Jimmy, and welcome to Chit for Chit to everybody, where we seem to have finally regained our internet and we're able to bring you some views and some sounds. The hippos are just apologizing for the lack of internet for the last while. And they haven't made a sound until we went live with you. How's that? A little whistling of a pied wagtail. There we go, top left. There he is. Wonderful morning. The watering hole. It's going to allow you just to listen to all the sounds. Really quite pleasant. There, just on the left. Sarah, you want to know how old that baby hippo is? It's tiny. I can't see its full body, so it's hard for me to tell you, but it's only a few months, I'd say. Very, very small. Look at it. How cute is that? So hippos have, interestingly enough, everybody, a gestation period equal to that of humans. Oh, there's another small baby in the front one. There's a couple of babies here. So they're quite new. Definitely when I was last at Chitwa a few months ago, there weren't any of these little babies. And this mama's got a baby too. Gestation period is 9 months for a hippo. Can you believe that? When a rhinoceros, white rhino, equivalent in sort of weight and size, is 15 months. So hippos can get away with it because they can keep their babies safe in the water and they can be a little bit less developed. The babies will spend most of the time in the water, suckling underwater. That's how they learn to hold their breath so long. This is their life. Born in the water to live in the water. There we go. Those teeth designed for fighting and defense. There's no other functional feeding potential or for those big incisors. Cut a crocodile in half. safari hippo lips look so weird. Yes, they do. That little one. And there he goes. Hippos are very strange animals. Very, very strange animals. Enormous mouths. Enormous bodies. That's why they hide in the water all day so no one can laugh at them. But anyway, going from one strange animal to Tswalu, who's also got something a little bit odd.
I am so comfortable with my strangeness, and that's why I'm so comfortable out here in the bush, because all the strange animals I feel are my gang, my group. We're all a little strange out here, aren't we? We all have a little bit of strange, including our giraffe here. There's actually 3 of them. One has decided to hide from us. Probably saw my strangeness coming. But these 2 are happily chomping. Almost as if he finally noticed that we're watching. Good morning. Oh, they are tucking into, looks like, yep, really nice juicy leaves. You can actually use them in salads. So it's no wonder that these guys like them very much. You can see those gorgeous little hairs on the chin. Now those will actually help it to determine which areas are, will actually help you to determine, or help the animal to determine, whether there's too many thorns around, whether it's going to hurt itself, and those eyelashes also help with that. Protects the eye and is another sensory little bit of information. Something's too close, but they'll realize it before it actually gets into their eye. Really clever. Butterfly, you are wondering if this is a couple. Well, let's have a look at their ossicones. Now that individual is fairly dark, and ossicones are quite rounded, and that's usually what we get from a male. Of course, though, the easiest way to tell is to have a look at their undercarriage, and just, yeah, then you can't make a mistake. But unfortunately, they're being very, very dignified, not showing us their undercarriage at this moment. Let's pop over to the other one, BK. Oh, we've got a bit of hair on those ossicones. They're also a little bit smaller. So perhaps this is a couple butterfly, but there's a third wandering about as well. Now they have a fission-fusion society, so sometimes they come together, sometimes they move apart, sometimes they're by themselves. Very relaxed. And no real defined structure. It's very interesting to watch their tongues as they move about on a tree. And what's quite exciting here, or at least it excites me, is that they're both eating from opposite sides of this tree. Which means that both sides of this tree will start to producing... Oh, give yourself a shake. There we go. They're eating from opposite sides of the tree. And usually what will happen is the side of the tree that's being preyed on by these herbivores, which is essentially what's happening, that side of the tree will start to produce lots of tannins and terpenes, which are basically volatile compounds that can easily evaporate. That's what volatile means. And it can send signals to trees nearby saying, hey, I'm under attack. It also will be able to release these tannins into those leaves on that side. So they're both eating on opposite ends, which means that tannins will be released like crazy on both ends, and it's only a matter of time until it gets very bitter. but they're doing something a little bit more interesting as well. Instead of moving around the tree, they're using the different heights of the tree. So the tree won't send tannins to all the leaves all of a sudden, because that is a lot of resources to waste on an area that maybe a herbivore is not at. So the tree will release it at leaves where the herbivore is attacking it. So the one on the left has moved down, the one on the right has picked it way up. Really interesting to watch how they feed depending on the defenses of the plant. But they should move to another tree soon, because it will become really bitter. Jerry, you say this is so interesting. Isn't everything out here? The way that everything interacts with each other is just awesome. It's not simply a giraffe feeding. Just gorgeous. So much more going on. And I love to be able to talk to you about it and for us to have discussions about it. So please go over to our support page so we can continue to have these wonderful discussions and learn all these gorgeous things about the wildlife out here. Now we're moving on to a different tree. The sounds this morning, isn't that just fabulous? Now they'll try very hard to not actually get any thorns as they strip the leaves off a tree. They have those hairs of vibration, essentially whiskers, on their chin and around their lips, that can give them that information about whether there's thorns around. But also they have these very, very agile lips. Can you tell that I'm doing that with my lips too? And a tongue as well, very flexible, that can be very specific about what leaf or what branch they want to pick at. And that helps them avoid thorns. But the occasional thorn that does get into their mouths, as you would imagine they'd have to be when you're eating so much all the time, that can actually be coated in a very, very, very thick saliva that they possess to help them actually get it down their throats. And of course that tongue is very strong, so that they don't damage it as those thorns pass through. Gorgeous, gorgeous sighting of these giraffes.
Look how all of these lines have gone flat except the young female that is busy grooming herself there. Quite an important thing that for her. After maybe whatever they were feeding on, she might have get involved, get a little bit of blood on herself, maybe even get some stomach content, which is going to make her not smell so good. And now that they're all lying down and she's not being left behind, she can worry about her neatness. You can see how continuously she's grooming herself like that. We are a little bit of a distance away to be able to hear when that rough tongue goes through that fur. And if you close enough when she licks herself like that, you can hear how rough that tongue is. They reckon that tongue is so rough as a sandpaper. With our soft skin, few licks from here, you'll possibly start feeling the pain. But because they've got such a rough fur, you see she's busy grooming the young white sister there, and that sister doesn't look like she's feeling any pain at all. She's just peacefully carrying on doing what she has been doing, which is sleeping. And again, that goes quite a long way, a little bit of love here and there. You might slowly but surely see the sister starting to respond to the love that she's been given by also licking and grooming the sister back. Go slightly to the left to look. They can ingest in one go at least a quarter of their own body weight. And after that, they have to lie down, breathe hard to try and digest. And once they've digested a little bit, go to the bathroom. Then if they've got a little bit of space, if there is still food left, they can go back to gorge themselves even more. So for that big male lion, who will roughly be between 200 and 220 kilograms, he will eat up to about 30 kilograms of meat at a first go if he was empty-bellied. And after that, he has to lie down and digest. And if you look at him, the way he's breathing, he easily got up to about 20-25%. He's not onto his fullest capacity, as full as he looks. So he could have eaten a little bit more. Maybe he's already digested and gone into the bathroom a few times. Look at him stretching. But like a stretch, it looks like he's enjoying the warmth of the sun, slightly, slowly but surely starting to get warm. As he stretches, you see the few of the others also get their heads up. About a few minutes ago, the big male, before he started stretching, was lying so flat and so peacefully that he started snoring. But again, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to hear that sound because it's a very faded sound that he was making. If you look at him now, you see how, looks like he's about to get up. See how he likes cuddling with himself there with his paws kind of leaning back into his body. If you look closely to those paws, you can be able to tell how big those paws are. Seriously looking so strong and so big. And if you look on the inside of his front paw, almost at his chest on that front right leg, you can see there's a little bit of a red blood tinge there that you can see, which looks like he hasn't really Lati with the rose male, he's got such big paws that his paw could be the same size of a fully grown man's hands. Of course, I'm a little bit smaller, so his paws will be slightly bigger than my hands. And looking at that red tinge of blood on the inside of his front leg, you can see he hasn't gotten around to getting time to groom himself and clean himself, to keep himself clean, as we saw that young female doing earlier on. It looks like he's got his priorities right. Ate, walked, marked his territory, now wants to sleep. Cleaning can wait. Cool, we'll send you over to Dumi to get to see what his lions are up to.
Welcome back, guys, again. We're still here with this private lion. As you can see, that now we can count 5 lions at the moment. Pretty sure there are more than 5 lions. It's just because the grass is so tall here. And yeah, they look well fed. As you can see, the bellies have looked much bigger comparing and that what the last day we saw them. I'm not too sure what actually they caught here, Must be something big because look at all of them. They're full bellies. Well, she's very nice. Yeah, this one lying in the middle. This one of the mother of the two Sabarat. You can see that belly on that one closer to us. Very round. And it's got like a red dot of the blood. But it looks very lazy. Only get up when they want to do something and they come lie again. I think they find it very nice to lie on a road because most of the place are very wet. Even the grass is so wet because yesterday it was raining heavily in this area. So I think they're enjoying to lie on a road like this. And also they start feeling the sun shining today, which is perfect for them. They don't have to worry about hunting or anything today. Exactly. Like, how did you know that? Actually, behind us, I think we have like a 5 or 6 vehicle right behind us, Cat. You are quite right. I can hear another sound coming. And if you look right in front of us, you might see another car coming. For sure, it's going to stop there. Or it could be a tractor. Yeah, it's a big tractor coming right in front of us. Yeah, as you can see, we get a lot of roadblocks around here. We'll send you to Chit. Just enjoy the guys.
I am being watched. Normally we are the watchers, but this time we are being watched by a sneaky little carnivore. Staring contest. I'm okay. I'll let you know when I blink. Eyes are getting dry. Oh, I blinked. Mongoose won the staring competition. Oh, I love watching them. Love watching them so much. There's one just at the bottom there, BK, as well. Just come out. Hello. There are quite a few here when we arrived, and of course they scurry inside once they see us, and then they scout us out just like this. And then they decide that, oh, we're not actually a threat, and then they'll all come out again and go about their morning business, which usually involves, in fact, always involves sunbathing on this eastern side of this termite mound, where the sun is really nice. In fact, I'm enjoying some sun at the moment, too. See, little dwarf mongoose, I can be like you, too. I'm enjoying sun. They're not buying it. Kiki, you say they're so cute. Kiki, they are unbelievably cute. I would love to be able to habituate one of these groups. It's been so cold these last few mornings. I kind of feel bad for them, so I'm glad that the sun is out and they can actually sit and bask for a little bit. Yesterday and the day before, it was cloudy for the most most part of the day. And although it did warm up, they didn't get that gorgeous morning light that they enjoy before they head out foraging. But I did see them out during the day, so it's not as if the weather is cool and you don't get sun and it's cloudy that they won't come out, because they need to eat. They need to go about looking for their favorite bits of food, tiny little reptiles, invertebrates. All those critters. It's lovely. Life of a mongoose is really nice. You don't have to wake up at 5:15 in the morning. You don't have to cook food. You just go out and find it. Oh, there we go. More of the crowd is coming out. I'm going to sit with them for a little longer, because I think that when we're back, more of them will be out.
No joy on the meerkats yet, I'm afraid, but like I say, there's lots of good fresh tracks around here, so I think it's just this wind that's pushing them, and I'm hoping that Alpha's had her pups. This may be what's keeping them down a little bit longer, but we'll come back to it. So here's two little interesting items. I've touched on this one briefly in the past, but I haven't seen a fruit, so Jandra actually picked this up. This is called a gemsbok cucumber. Remember, the gemsbok is that animal that we sometimes call an oryx as well, with those long straight horns. It looks like it's been airbrushed, that like kind of pinky brown color with a white and black markings on the belly and the white and black face. This fruit is normally, it can get almost like the size of your fist, like that, with the spikes all over it. So this is a very dodgy example of one that's like really faded and shriveled and that, but that's out of interest. It's very, very important food source in these areas. And we were chatting briefly about mole rats yesterday morning. Interestingly, one of our guides, Barry, actually saw a mole rat above ground 2 nights ago. Late at night, they were just out doing a quick patrol, and that they found a mole rat, which is crazy unusual for this time of the year. I mean, you even had a mole rat researcher, Carl Finn, was commenting on it, saying, "Wow, it's really odd that they're out." But that may, that could be. I'm just speculating. Maybe that had something to do with a predator going down burrows. We were talking about snake weasels or white-naped weasels, striped weasels, whatever the common name is these days for them. That could have been something like that going down a burrow. Anyway, that's on mole rats and things. And here's something, those of you who are with us that have seen the aardvark and pangolins and things. And yesterday evening, when we got that beautiful aardvark in that lovely setting there yesterday feeding, and I was trying to look around for a piece of a termite mound that had been excavated, and I couldn't actually find one right there. Well, I lost the piece that you're looking at. So this is a little one that we got here now, and so this is just the sand so it's a part of the actual termite mound that has been excavated almost certainly by an aardvark. There was no fresh diggings there where I found it, but they're really the only animals that are going to be actually digging into these. I'm just going to turn that so you can see these tunnels a little bit better. But this afternoon, if I remember, and my memory is shocking, but I will try, is I'm going to bring out and I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I'm going to bring out the coolest little thing that I have at home. But watch this space for details, and it's got to do with termites and that as well. But anyway, so that just shows you, and you just think what a labyrinth of tunnels exist inside these mounds. So the mounds that you see where our colleagues are, like where Trish and Taylor and them are down in that area, you got those massive termite mounds, and you often get warthogs and aardvark and things burrowing inside those termite mounds. You can get like bat colonies living in them, sometimes snakes, all sorts of things. But they form those massive mounds, and they can be really, really tall. The termite, if you scan over this landscape here, you're not seeing any termite mounds. There's none. There's nothing that you can see that resembles a termite mound. So what we find in this environment, and it's almost certainly got to do with frost and fire. We do get fires across these landscapes occasionally, and lots of frost, as we know. So these termite mounds tend to be subterranean. Okay, so that's on these flat grounds, on this deep sand. They tend to be subterranean. The same species, or at least we think it's the same species of what we call a snouted termite, gorgeous little things. When we're up in the mountains, in these hilly areas over here, there you see the termite mounds prominently scattered all over the hill. So it's not that they're not out here where we're looking, but they're actually just underground. And that's, like I say, that's probably got to do with frost and fire. But, you know, even if they're like really well camouflaged, they're hidden, it is no issue for an aardvark with that gorgeous nose of theirs to actually find these things. Wasp one says it looks like a honeycomb, and that's exactly what it does. It does look very, very much like a honeycomb. But I can just imagine myself living inside one of these termite mounds. I would get so lost. I'd be like, really? Like, what's... Look, okay, how do I get from A to B? I mean, I would just be wandering around here like a total... Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue where to go. And yet, you just think they know how to get around these systems. And they're massive sometimes. That's pretty cool.
They are out and about. Dylan is there looking for the meerkats. I hope that he's successful. And these guys are closely related to them. Both families have pests today. And they're small carnivores. I love how they get a lot more comfortable the more you just sit with them, and that's one of the kind of traits that you'd look for when you are thinking about habituating certain animals. And when we talk about habituation, what that really means is that an animal is used to your presence and realizes that you're not a threat. It's not that you're touching them or feeding them or anything like that. Oh, really interrupted by a black-crowned chagro there. Wasn't that gorgeous? And I always think they sound like they're saying, please, please don't hurt me. Please, please don't hurt me. That's my own random way of remembering it. Oh, I think they're warmed up quite a bit now. They're moving a little more. They're out fully. Lioness, you say that's such an awesome call. They're an awesome little bird. Speaking of birds, these guys, now that they're warmed up a little bit, would be waiting for some hornbills to come through so they can cooperatively feed. They don't always do it, but it definitely does help, both the hornbills and the mongoose. So they tend to wait for each other. I love when you look at one chimney of the mound, and it appears that only one may be able to fit through there, and then about 5 squeeze their way out. I just love that. Oh, there's a good look at those claws. You'll see them scratching the ground quite a lot, looking for invertebrates. Oh man, a green-winged petilia just landed on the bottom of the mound, but I didn't catch it in time. There's a blue waxbill just on top there. It's coming closer to... Hello, blue waxbill. Oh, all the birds are following me today. Black-headed orioles just flown nearby as well. If I can spot it again, I'll show it to you. Just there on the ground now. Oh, there comes another. I'm having the time of my life with the birds today. Oh, was that a long-billed chrombeck? I only just saw the end of it. There's our wax ball. The mongoose is giving it the stink eye. This is my mound. What are you doing here? You're meant to be in a tree. Oh, I could just watch them. Peter, you'd like to know if there's a reason that all these birds are hanging around the mongoose? Not these particular birds. There are other birds that hang out with them, like starlings and hornbills, but these particular birds, they're just going about their business. They've just dropped in and now they've gone away. And it also has to do with the fact that there's quite a lot of shrubbery behind them, lots of trees and short ones as well, which is just what birds like, especially the smaller ones. So that's why they're all hanging around here. But it was a fleeting sighting of the birds. But I'm glad that we got a good one of these mongoose.
Welcome back, everyone, again. We are still here with these lines. They've been changing position, which is cool. As you can see, we have a beautiful sunshine today, even a blue sky, which is perfect for them because yesterday, if you remember, it was raining badly in this place. So that's why they're just trying to get warmer because everywhere is so much wet. And as you can see, look like everyone just get a lot of flies on there. Yeah, this is what we've got at the moment. They haven't really moved. There's another car coming in front of us. It's just lifting the head, looking. Wow, awesome sighting. They're in very good condition if you look at them. Lovely today, comparing yesterday. Yeah, but anyway, we need the rain. We've been very lucky to have rain, especially this time of the year. So to keep the place going. I see 1, 2, 3 lines around here. Actually 5 altogether. You can see another 2 on the long grass. But I'm pretty sure there must be 6 lines there. Yeah, they're very, very full, these lines. That's cool. Nice one, eh, Kemi? You enjoying it? Just because they're catching up some nice sun shining. Well, also not so much flies like as normal when you see lions lying like that. It's just because this is a time where you have less flies in winter. So, yeah, but the bellies are full. They have full bellies. So they must be enjoying themselves, digesting. Wow, we're still enjoying our line like that. We'll send you across to Bani with the line as well, the grooming. Enjoy, everyone.
back with the Pride still sleeping on the same place. Some of them were grooming slightly. The sun was gone behind the clouds again, and it just came out again. So this is the warmest this morning the sun has been. If the sun waits outside the clouds for another 5 minutes or so, feeling how nice and warm it is onto our skin, it might be that warm, if not even more, on this lion skin. So that this might trigger them to want to get up and find a shady spot, which there is one not too far from where they're sleeping. So they're not gonna stay up for too long at all. If you look at all of them, they are so out at the moment that makes me wonder the type of distance they might have covered overnight before we joined up with them this morning. Looking to the distances they have been covering in the last few days, in particular when we find their tracks and try to track them down. In the last 2 nights before last night, they covered easily each night over between 10 and 12 kilometers that easily. And that is if we check on the straight line from where we walked while we tracked them. So they could have done exactly the same type of distance last night, if not more. And since we have been with them this morning, we also covered some nice ground. So I think it's a well-deserved break from their part. They have walked far. Doesn't look like they will be doing much at all. Some of them you just see the tail wagging every now and again, ears flapping just to chase the flies. Las Vegas lady, no, the female with the young cubs, she is not with the Pride at the moment. We last saw her with the Pride 2 days ago. The day before yesterday when we found them, they didn't have that female and the young cubs. She was last seen with them, with the Pride, somewhere in the central part of the reserve. It will make sense though why she stayed behind, as I just indicated the distance they've walked in the last 2-3 nights. It would have been too much of a long walk for those tiny little cubs to keep up with the rest of the Pride if they would have walked far while they're there. But saying that, with those cubs being so tiny, I think that's possibly one of the reasons the mother chose to stay behind, because it is quite tiring. Even for these big ones, you can see how well they're sleeping now after such a walk. Imagine what it would have done on those tiny little cubs, where one of them takes one step, it would have taken 4 or 5 that easily. So it would have been double the amount of the distance on their part. Seeing that the Pride is right central, slowly but surely the direction they've been heading is where they were last seen 2-3 days ago. In the evening, if they get up and start moving, that young male was calling earlier to join up with the rest of them, although they didn't answer, he eventually find them. So if they carry on heading on that direction, there is a chance that they might reunite with the female with the young cubs this evening. So we'll see how it goes in the evening, or get to hear if they call each other. It will be quite nice to actually watch a reunion between that female and the rest of the Pride. You can see in the distance, that is the area where we last saw that young male. We're just trying to show the distance between where the young male is and the rest of the Pride. He has gone completely flat, disappeared in that long grass. You can hardly see that he's there. And the rest of them have joined up and they're all lying together here. So it looks like slowly but surely he's getting the message that these 2 Ross males, and they don't want him in this Pride anymore. But of course, because he is by himself, he doesn't have any brothers of his same age to go with. It looks like he's just going to keep following them for now. But he knows his place. He's just lying there and waiting. If they are to get up, they might get up and start moving. He might get up right away and start following. Or he might just take it easy and let them move, and then he'll do what he did this morning, just trailing them by using the sand. It did look like a little bit of a hard work. Like you saw, he was moving back and forth when he loses the sand. But he got the job done. That's what's important. So as we leave these lions carry on sleeping in this nice long grass, we're going to send you to Dumi. Have a closer look to his bride. Sounds like one of them have got up and get closer to him.
1 or 2 minutes, I'm live here. Sorry. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, we still have our lion still here with us. If you take a look, yeah. Okay, if you take a look, you're right here. You can see that nice young lioness. She's just lying here. You can see, like, if you, Marcel, if you look zooming right next to the paw, you can see it looks like she's bleeding there. Must be. Yeah, if you look there, you might be able to see. You might be able to see that on a claw. Maybe she damaged a claw. Maybe she's trying to catch something. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Yeah, but she's still young. She's still learning everything. Whatever. Maybe she was catching, trying to, and she must be damaged her claw. But she'll be okay because she can reach there. She can lick easily. It won't be a problem at all. Wow. If I look carefully there, because I can see the bleed coming straight to where the claw moved in, where they tracked the claw. I can't really see because you don't always see the claw of the lion, but she might be still has. Yeah, we hope she will be still okay with that. Yeah, that's a big lioness, that one walking, passing her. Oh, how cool is that? Oh, turn right, this way. Wow. Wow, looks like she's moving away to the grass now. The rest, they might be also follow her. While we're having our lions here, we'll send you across to Dylan with Tswalu. Enjoy it, guys. There.
So I'm smiling, but I don't know if I should be because the meerkats haven't come out of bed yet. So I'm wondering they may even have pulled a quick one on us yesterday afternoon. After having gone down, the team confirmed that they were here, but yeah, it could be that they were disturbed at the burrow by something else. Who knows? But anyway, we're going to sit it out and we're going to put tracking teams onto them again later. What we're going to show you next is definitely not for sensitive viewers. I would strongly recommend if you're a sensitive viewer, you probably won't want to watch. But then, of course, I do know that when people hear that, then they actually want to sit and watch. So anyway, I'm going to show you something pretty freaky here. So that armored ground cricket that we said was half eaten, here he is here. Okay, there we go. Look, he's more than half eaten. You see that? He's been gobbled up. But look at this. If you look closely, look at the mouth part still moving. Oh my word. That is got to be the craziest, freakiest thing I've seen in a long time. I mean, or this one's just really on a diet, perhaps. Look, it's like No, but how's that? That's wow. That's wow. No, I'm just, yeah, wow. Anyway, so we're not going to be seeing many of these little guys around us. This cold is... We did warn you, Stella. But, yeah, so these little guys are really coming to the end of their stay. But we've had some good times with them. We've seen some really fun little armoured ground cricket scenes and that. But there's a couple around, but not too many. Yeah, I'm getting quite bleak about these meerkats. But that's part of it, eh? You know, we can't go out there every day and find something that we would want to see. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work in our favour. And I think that aardvark yesterday was just amazing. And if I have one sighting like that a week, if I have one sighting like that a year, I'll be happy. Never mind a week. And yeah, this week, John and I've been really spoiled, you know, with 3 aardvark, pangolins, you know, that kind of stuff. So you know, we definitely can't complain. Yeah, it's only Friday. Imagine. Sorry, say again. Andy was saying something. I didn't get that with the wind. Andy, you way tougher than all of us. Andy says it's a mere flesh wound. The cricket should just walk it off. I'm impressed. We'll tell that to the cricket, see what he thinks. Yeah, so, you know, Jandra and I, we've looked carefully at these burrows, and there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of activity around these burrows and that, and the cable's not going to reach it, but we can try and move it just now. But there's so much activity here. So my feeling is there's no question there were meerkats here at these burrows. No question. What I want to know is what's happened to them and where have they gone to? I mean, that's it's like the evidence is there, but the perpetrators aren't. So, you know, we need to actually do our homework a little bit better now and try track these guys down.
I have another South African roadblock here. I was trying so desperately to think of a dad joke, so you guys are going to have to help me out. So YouTube chat stream or hashtag WildEarth. Maybe they're the gnulies. No, that doesn't work. Something that has to do with roadblock or stop sign and wildebeest. Poor things don't know they're going to be subject to my and all of your horrible dad jokes. There's quite a few of them, which is quite nice. I'd say maybe about 15. Kiki, you say what a beastly block? Okay. I hear you, Kiki. Definitely in the right vein. Node block. No. I can't even use my long faces. Can't even use my long faces dad joke because it's quite sunny. Stacy, we knew there'd be a roadblock. Yep, we did indeed. I like that one. I had a snort from them. Clearly they don't like it. It's because our dad jokes are getting better, people. Oh, we have a little piggy to join us. Oh, Las Vegas ladies say they knew we were coming. They did. They definitely knew. Oh, I feel like if you just went over and hugged them or like jumped into the middle of this herd, it'd be so warm. That dark brown coat just seems to absorb so much heat. It just feels that way. And they're sitting in a great patch on the road where their bellies can get nice and warm, as well as the sun beating down on them. That feels good, just looking at them. Well, that was very good, everybody. Very good. Well, since they knew we were coming, we're going to turn around and head further towards quarantine and see what we can find there.
Wildebeest always know that you're coming because they watch the news. Sorry, that was a very bad joke. Gnus, did I get it? Sorry, everybody. Humor. The humor this morning is unbelievable, and that is dad joke number 1 for me. Emma, the director, is loving it. She's loving the humor this morning. We spent some time on Chitwa. You're right, Davi? Spent some time on Chitwa and we weren't able to find anything else. It was wonderful down there by the water. We've just come back onto Djuma for a slow little bumble back. Haven't picked up on any signs of Thandi this morning, so I don't know what she's done. She must be on a kill and she must have got across the river because she has not gone back. That is certainty now. So she's probably somewhere on this side. But where exactly, I don't know. As I said earlier, the ground is very hard. Even if I walk here, you won't be able to track me. And I leave a much bigger mark on the floor than a stealthy leopardess and a cub. Anyway, that's the way it works. I've got this afternoon and all day tomorrow to try and find Thandi's cub again for all of you before I head on out. That is my mission. Kelly, this morning we had Thandi's tracks that were from yesterday, and her tracks were quite clear in certain areas, but I couldn't see any sign of the cub. Where we've just been now is the area where I last saw tracks of the cub, but Thandi's not gone back into that area in 2 days, which means that she probably brought her over actually 2 days ago, but we just can't see the cub tracks on the ground because it's likely she brought it over while it was raining or just after the rain. And that means that unless the cub walks on very soft little sandy patches, you don't see the indentation. Even on this road here, it's very hard to see anything at the moment unless an animal really puts their foot down. A hoofed animal, easy enough. A running animal, easy enough. But a small little cub, it's just delicately walking. Near impossible. So we'll continue to check the watering holes because if she does have a kill, she will have to come out to drink. And we're also looking for a nice steaming pile of her poo that she leaves on the road as she walks around, and that might be the best way to find her. But good news, or should I say good news, Trisha's still with her wildebeest.
You know, I can always count on Steve to add to our horrendous dad jokes. That's a true friend right there. It really is. Well, he's looking for a horrendous, or rather steaming a horrendous pile of poo to find Thandi. I've driven over one. Such a thing. But I think it might have actually been a hyena's scat. It does not smell good at all. It was around the hyena den. And obviously they weren't around, otherwise you would have seen them. And then I inadvertently got myself in quite a hot and smelly position. Oh, these guys look so peaceful. I just love it. They're all sitting about there and chewing away, enjoying the sunlight. Their bodies are heating up, overjoyed at the clearing weather, much like myself. Very peaceful, very peaceful. Whenever I see them, they're always doing something, moving about, especially the last time they were chasing each other. But now everyone has calmed down. It's a lovely way to end our drive. Of course, flies will never stop bothering them, or us. Well, it's that time, everybody. We'll see you this afternoon for Sunset Safari. But bye-bye for all of us, and thank you